So what are some problems with attention, and what is attention? Some problems you can experience with attention can be really scary. So if you've ever come back in from being out all day and realised you left the iron on or the hob on or anything else that you shouldn't have left on while you were out, that can be really worrying and really scary, and that's an attention problem. Others, less so, maybe just frustrating. If you're watching a TV programme and you can't remember what happened with a certain character, who they're related to, or even what they're doing there, you can't follow the thread in a TV programme. Either that or you're more of a book reader and you read the same line again and again and again and it just won't go in. Or you're introduced to someone at a party and within a couple of seconds, you can't remember their name. Haven't got a clue. It's like it didn't even go in. So all of those are examples of attention problems. It's not that people don't experience them every day. Some people are better at it than others. Some people, it will happen regularly. But the difference for you watching this video is that for you, you think it's happening more often and that it's starting to affect your mood. So what is attention? You may have noticed that some of the examples I just gave sound suspiciously like memory problems. But attention is necessary for memory. If you can't pay attention to something, there's absolutely no way you will remember it in the future. Now, we do go on and talk about memory in the next videos, but if any of those examples sound like something you're doing, then this could be really helpful for you. An easy way to think about memory could be to think about it as a bucket. It is a limited resource. You only have so much room in that bucket. And if there isn't any room in that bucket, whatever information you take on will essentially go in one ear and out the other. It'll skim over the cross of the bucket or it will overflow. So what fills up that bucket, meaning you don't have any attention left? It's several things. So it could be poor sleep or fatigue, meaning you don't actually have that much attention. It could be physical health or pain or distractions such as that. It could be medication. Medication can have a big impact on how much attention you have and therefore filling up the bucket. It can be a noisy environment. So a lot of stuff going on around you, less room in the bucket. It could also be worry, stress, or low mood. All of those things fill your bucket. So it's not like you now have a smaller bucket than you did before cancer treatment. You have exactly the same bucket. But bearing all those things in mind, that's why it's now more full, and that's why you have less capacity for attention. You have less room to take on the information around you. And in the next video, we're going to look at some strategies that may help. So how do you improve your attention? We're going to go through a few strategies now that are simple, but they are really effective. So not everyone will work for you, but what I would say is try them out, have a go. You only need one to make a real difference. And I'm going to break them up into 3 different sections. So I'm going to break them up into setting the right conditions, managing fatigue or tiredness, and looking after yourself. The first one of those is setting up the right conditions. So if we remember the bucket, and when there's not enough room in the bucket, we can't pay attention, how do we set up the right conditions to have more room in that bucket? The first one is removing distractions. So if someone wants to have a serious conversation with me and the radio's on and the TV's on and the dog's barking in the corner and there are kids screaming at my feet, how do I have that conversation with someone when all of that noise and information is filling up the bucket? I need to empty the bucket. I need to turn the radio off. I need to turn the TV off. I need to chuck the dog out, chuck the kids out, or place them wherever safe, but get them out of the room. Empty your bucket. That means you can sit down and have that conversation with someone and take on what they're saying. If you can't do that, then the only thing to do, if you really want to hear what they're saying, is to say, not right now, I can't concentrate, I can't pay attention, I won't then remember it. Wait until I have a quieter time and I have less distractions. The other thing that's really important to do is focusing on one thing at a time, okay? So if you come in from work at the end of the day and you start cooking supper, and then you're like, oh, I've got to put the washing on and I better do this washing up, you're going to bounce around, forget what you're doing, burn something as you're cooking, water will overflow, the washing won't be turned on. All of these things at once are not going to help your attention because they're all filling up the bucket. If you do one thing at a time, you've only got that one thing in the bucket, you have room for attention to complete that task. One thing at a time. In order to do that, sometimes you have to make a plan. And to make a plan, you're writing stuff down. We worked with a lady that used notepads a lot, okay? So in order to remember to do something or to remember to buy something for a shopping list, she would keep a notepad in every room. And by every room, I mean every room. So if she was falling asleep and she suddenly went, oh goodness, I need some milk for tomorrow and I won't remember. So she wrote it down. And in that way, it was out the bucket. If she was in the kitchen and she suddenly realised she had to remember to go to the post office tomorrow, she'd write it down on that notepad. Even if she was in the loo and she remembered something, she would write it down on the notepad in the loo. And at the end of the week, when she went into town or she did the shopping, she'd pick up every piece of paper and she'd have all that information there. Not only does that mean she had the information, it meant that all those little things weren't sitting in her bucket all week, filling up and pushing others out, or them being pushed out. Then there's managing fatigue and tiredness. So going through treatment, I imagine you'll be incredibly familiar with this, but it's not something that ends after treatment. And poor sleep or fatigue really, really affect our attention. The first thing we would say is take breaks. It's not that easy to take a break, especially if you never took them before. If you never needed them before, if you could plow on all day, not need a break, be just as efficient, then it's going to be particularly difficult for you to make yourself take a break. But it is really important, and it will just empty your bucket a little bit. If you walk away from your desk or wherever you are and take 5 minutes to sit down and have a cup of tea, time yourself if you have to, it will make a big difference for your attention. Work at your best time of day. Some people morning people, some people are evening, afternoon, whatever's right for you. It will be trial and error. If you don't know immediately, maybe you don't have a good time of day, but test, because it may be you have far more attention in the morning than you do in the afternoon, or the other way around. Then when we come to talk about sleep or improving your sleep, then we talk about a bedtime routine, preparing yourself for bed, preparing your mind, preparing your body, but also being aware of the environment. Coming back to that bucket. If you've kind of got the TV on when you're getting ready for bed, or you're ticking over what's going on for you at work, maybe there's another way of doing it. There's a thing called sleep hygiene, which you can Google quite easily, and it'll give you ideas about setting up that routine, setting up that environment, emptying that bucket, and getting better sleep. Finally, caffeine. Caffeine is a big one, and a lot of us drink a lot of it, consume a lot of it. It is sometimes addictive, sometimes it's just a habit. But it affects people, some people more than others. But if you're drinking caffeine after noon, so after 12 a day, it will affect your sleep. So anything afternoon will affect your sleep. If that's particularly relevant for you, maybe think about cutting down on the caffeine. Then we move on to looking after yourself. So the first and foremost thing is don't stress. And I appreciate that is far easier said than done. But when we talk about all the things going into the bucket, one of the things that can fill up the bucket the quickest and immediately make it overflow is stress, okay? So do what works for you. Again, it's about trial and error, but some people find exercise works. Some people find just chilling out with their friends. Mindfulness is a very good one. Relaxation, maybe even taking a bath. Whatever works for you, it can empty your bucket of stress, means that you've got more space in your bucket for the rest of the day or the next day. Let other people help. That can be a really, really tough one. And if it is for you, if asking for help is difficult for you, if explaining what's difficult or what helps you is difficult for you, then maybe ask someone to watch this video. They can watch what's going on for you. They can try to understand. And if you've been told to watch this video, offer your help. Try and understand what's going on for the person that you care about and what works for them, and support them. Lastly, try to notice how you feel. I've talked a little bit about stress. Stress isn't the only emotion that's going to really, really affect your attention. It could be low mood. Sometimes frustration is really a big one. Try and find ways to manage your mood, to look after yourself. And if it ever gets to the point where you don't feel like you're managing the mood, then I would suggest going along to your GP, having a chat, and they may be able to suggest other ways of helping you manage your mood.